Hello, it's Tash here and welcome to episode 9 of How to Renovate. I can't believe we're on episode 9 already. Okay, today I will be talking about one of my favourite phases of the entire renovation process, and I call it dreaming. When I'm working with clients as a renovation consultant, an interior designer, this is the stage I really start trying to get into their minds. I just kind of dig around and find exactly what they want from their renovation. And I usually do this right at the start. So, pretty soon after I've had the go ahead for the project. It involves asking lots of questions and, starting to look at images of what they envision their dream home to be. And as it's my mission to teach you how to approach and manage your home renovation like a pro, I just wanted to share a little bit on this phase in my 5-pillar process with you. I don't think it's really something that you will get on many other renovation lessons or courses. It's that special little thing that you can do to really dig down and get that special result at the end. It's something you can do for your own project. You don't need a designer or renovation consultant to do this for you. You can do it for yourself. You can try and kind of deeply establish what it is you want to achieve with your renovation and your new home. And it's a chance to dream a little and to find ways to bring all of it or some of it into reality, into your new home. I believe that the best home renovations take a holistic approach to both the architecture and the interior design. And I'm always banging on about the planning in advance because it really is the best time to start thinking about the end result. The best time to start thinking about the end result is at the beginning. So don't leave your dreaming phase to the end. It includes elements like interior design, storage that will make your space clearer, your mind clearer, and the styling, which can reflect your personality. So don't leave it to the middle or to the end of the project. It needs to be treated as an important phase of your planning right at the start, so that you can factor it into the plans and the drawings right from the start, so that those special elements don't get left behind along the way when you get so distracted with the build and the construction phase and the questions and the chaos of it all. So before you start, I think you should just dream a little bit. We spend 87% of our lives inside buildings, and how they are designed really affects how we feel and how we behave. And your ideal home is not anyone else's. It should support your way of life. It should work for you. So there's so much more to the dreaming stage. I can't teach it all in this episode, but I am in the throes of creating a course on renovation, and I don't even have a name for it yet, but it's coming. And I really will add a lot more on the dreaming phase into that course, because I really think it's a really important phase of your planning. But for this episode, let's explore 3 dreaming questions and 3 ways to dream. In my 5-pillar process, the information in this episode falls under pillar 1, planning. And as you probably know by now, everything I teach about renovations falls under my 5-pillar process. And there'll be more information about how to get your hands on some more resources about the process at the end of the episode. So just listen on for that. Okay, let's get into it. Here are the 3 dreaming questions. So dreaming question number 1 is, how do you want to live? So for the answer to this question, I really want you to think about your ideal lifestyle and how your home can support that. Some examples could be, perhaps you would love to experiment more with cooking. Perhaps you have an established hobby or side business. You may have a goal to exercise more and get healthy. You might want to be more productive in a certain area of your life. You might, have a huge record collection that you want to use more often and get into music more. So when I'm working with clients, the answers to these questions will start forming kind of certain elements in my mind that I will design into the space. So if we take the last example I mentioned, let's say my client has a big record collection and they would like to enjoy it more. When I start getting into the design, I'll start thinking about where in the home I could fit in a dedicated area for this. If they're really passionate about it, you want to make it a special thing in their home. So, I think about where could we put it? Where could it be easily accessed? And where could all the elements that are connected to it, that go together with it, be located together in the home? So, for example, what I might design is, clever storage for the records themselves, whether that be some kind of area to display them or stack them with some covers being on display in an artistic way. Or perhaps it's closed storage that's completely integrated and hidden when it's not in use. But the items that go with it, like the record players and the speakers or whatever else you need, those obviously need to be designed into this area as well. So think about all the elements that you want to bring together to enjoy that one thing that it is. And I always, when I'm designing as well, I always try and think about something special to add when I'm doing that for a client. Then that really comes down to when they would use that record collection. And so I'd kind of imagine their lives. I think they would have, perhaps they have some friends over and they want to have some music, or perhaps they're having a party. So what would be nice to put near that record collection? Perhaps it's a comfy sofa or a couple of nice chairs. Perhaps it's a mini bar or some kind of little hidden bar that you can expose with everything you need in there to serve a drink or a cocktail. So kind of thinking of just taking the time to kind of imagine your life in the space. Imagine what you love doing in the space, or you dream of doing in the space, and just plan it in. And this dreaming phase is really, it's your chance to just kind of calmly take some time, dig deep, really think about how you want to live, how your needs might change in the future, and make your home kind of work hard to support you in those goals, into how you want to live and how that can change with you into the future. Dreaming question number 2 is, what is important to you in your home? Okay, so for this one, I don't mean the physical things in your home, like your sofa or your nice TV and the big screen. I mean, actually what is important to you in your life. It could be things like having dinner every single night with your family, having regular big family gatherings, maybe once a month, let's say. Perhaps you want your teenagers to feel that they feel, comfortable inviting their friends back, bringing their friends over. It might be that you just want to have a chance to relax in the evening and kind of get rid of the stress of the day. Or it might be, something a bit more serious, like you may have a child or someone in your family with learning difficulties, and you want to make your home feel like a place that they can thrive and that it's a safe place for them. Or you might have an illness or someone who is ill, who needs to feel like the home is a sanctuary. It was a place they can heal and a place they can feel safe. So, I mean, the answers to this question will be intensely personal, And for me, bringing a project to completion that satisfies a client's answers to this question, to these questions, is when I truly feel I've created a dream home for them. Okay, so let's move on to question 3, which is, this is a fun one that I love surprising my clients with. It's, what would you absolutely love to have in your home, but you think you can't afford it, or you think maybe you don't have the space for it? I mean, this is the dreaming stage after all. So the reason I ask clients this question is because I'm just worried they won't say, or they might be embarrassed to offer that information without the question being asked. But the answer to the question is a reason to surprise and delight the client at the design presentation stage. Okay, so let me explain. Let's say the client says, oh, I've always wanted a walk-in wardrobe, but I don't think I have the space or the budget. And we kind of leave it at that. But when I'm designing the home for them, I will keep this in mind. And when I'm assessing the plans and laying out the rooms and the structure, the internal structure, I would look for any opportunity where I could fit in any kind of version of a walk-in wardrobe for the client. So this, in that situation, that would be being clever about the layout, trying to kind of fit something in there that would really make the client happy. So for example, I have actually done this before with a walk-in wardrobe where the client really wanted one, and it seemed like we weren't going to be able to fit it in. But what I did manage to do was, in the entrance to her bedroom, we had some understairs space on the left and we had a little recess on the right. And I planned that as you walked into the room, you would walk through this walk-in wardrobe right at the entrance. So it wasn't a traditional walk-in wardrobe in that sense, but she still got all the benefits of a walk-in wardrobe, where it was a separate area to the bedroom. She had so much additional storage in there, and it really was quite a nice surprise to be able to fit that in just by being clever with the storage and not losing much space from anywhere else in the home. So alongside fitting in a version of a walk-in wardrobe, I would also then be creative with a cost. So let's say the client was concerned that they wouldn't be able to afford to install the walk-in wardrobe. Alongside the design in the presentation, I would then provide a cost solution as well. So for example, this might be getting a carpenter to adapt some flat back rather than having bespoke fittings built, or just getting some MDF doors spray painted so they looked integrated. And I think that you can do this for yourself as well. If you just really deeply think about what you really would like, what you think might be just out of reach, and just plan little. It doesn't have to be the whole thing. You can plan little elements of it into your home that will make you happy. It could even be something like, if you wanted a home gym, it doesn't have to be a whole room. If you can find a space that's big enough for, let's say, a treadmill and some weights, and find a way to enclose it, or it might even just be an open area off of another room or space. Including these things into your home, I think, really does make a difference to how we live. So moving on now, we're going to talk about 3 ways to dream. So we've covered the 3 questions, and now let's move on to the 3 ways to dream. So these are kind of practical things you can do to kind of bring that dream into reality, and also to inspire you a little bit in this dreaming stage. So way number 1 is to make a mood board. Now, as a designer, nothing really gives me a better idea of someone's preferred interior style more than a mood board. Really, it's useful for yourself. It's useful if you're using an architect or a designer to show them your mood board as part of your brief. And you can do this in any way. You could use Pinterest, you could just make an images folder on your laptop with images you like. You could go old school and cut some magazines, anything will do. And as you build your mood board, you will start to see patterns developing. There may be styles, colours, natural materials. And as you move forward with your project, the mood board can be really a great source to keep referring back to when you get stuck on certain decisions, like choosing tiles, choosing finishes, choosing cabinetry. So just keep referring back to your mood board, and you will end up with a much better result, like a much more cohesive result where it actually looks designed and everything looks like it's meant to be together. That's where the mood board really, really does help. So I would really recommend doing that. And then the second way, I love this one. The second way to dream is to explore your home and your area's local history. This really is one of my favorites. Before I start any project, I go online and I'll start to research the building and especially the area. So if your building itself doesn't, or your property itself doesn't have that much history, the area generally will have a lot of history. So if you're stuck for inspiration, then doing this can really be an amazing source of inspiration. You can research the history of the location. You can look up the deeds even and get some ideas from there. You can possibly find out who the original architect was, when the house was built. You can even just if you're lucky enough to have kind of a period building, look at the bones of the building and the architecture. If there's any original door frames or door handles, brickwork, architecture, moldings, any of those things might spark a design idea, and you can kind of interpret it for your new home renovation. And it's a really authentic way of kind of retaining a bit of the history, but still kind of taking your home forwards and modernizing it into something that works for you and your family. An example of this is I really had the privilege of designing an apartment in an Art Deco building a few years ago. And the building used to be an old water testing laboratory. And this little apartment was in there. And it had the most amazing kind of reception foyer, but the flat itself had been renovated in the 80s and it was just awful. Had the worst layout, really dreary. And I researched the building and I researched the area, and we were able to add in some really beautiful Art Deco elements. We put in a specially made staircase, which a metal worker made, which included these beautiful Art Deco moldings and shapes. We went back to kind of a modernized version of what the old Art Deco flooring would be, kind of the dark walnut parquet, but we used a hard-wearing modern version of that in engineered wood. So thinking about what it might have been like and how people might have lived or what they might have had in their homes is really an amazing source of inspiration. So please do that. It's such a lovely thing to do. Okay, so we're moving on to the last way to dream, which is number 3, and it is get out there. Now this one, there is only so much inspiration you can get from a screen. So I would say just go out into your city, explore other buildings, go for walks around your neighborhood, go into kind of galleries and museums and take some time to kind of just wander and look up and notice and inspect the little details in the building, maybe in the moldings or in the architecture. You can browse vintage stores, flea markets, you can study films, notice what the interiors are like in films or TV series. You'll just be so surprised at how much inspiration you can find for your home. It's just a lovely phase. I hope you do some dreaming for your project. This brings us to the end of this episode, and I do think it's one of my favourites that I've put together for you so far. So I really hope you enjoyed it along with me. And yeah, get out there, dream about creating the best home that you can, and I'll see you in the next episode. Bye for now. For more information on my 5-pillar process for successful renovation, you can go directly to southplacestudio.com/pillars, where you'll find an introduction to the process and what each pillar covers.